YouTube. In today's video, we got, why would the most wanted fugitive turn himself in? Let's get straight to it.
Why would a man on the FBI's most wanted list ever turn himself in?
Shit,
He's
I would.
accused of not only being a major drug trafficker and high-ranking member of the Sinaloa Cartel, but he's also accused of at least 2 murders. Any one of these accusations, if proven, could put him in a federal prison for the rest of his life.
2 murders, my nigga? That's all y'all got? Stupid. If you really think this nigga only did 2 murders, you're fucking delusional. That's just the only ones y'all probably caught on that nigga. Let's speak on it.
He's potentially a billionaire, and his wife and 2 girlfriends laundered so much money for him that they got put on the U.S. sanction list. And
Damn.
according to the U.S., he was being protected by the Sinaloa Cartel. So, what is he, an informant or something?
We're in a wire? Huh? You're setting me up?
Because that's immediately what I thought when I realized
Shout
that
out
he
Breaking
wasn't
Bad.
caught, and that he, in fact, just walked into the U.S. Embassy in Mexico City and surrendered. But CBC News in Canada interviewed a man identified as a Sinaloa Cartel operative just a month before Ryan Wedding was taken into custody. And the operative said he did not believe that Wedding was being protected by the Sinaloa Cartel, or that he was in Mexico City, because Mexico City is the most surveilled city in the country. Which is interesting, not only because Mexico City is precisely where Ryan Wedding was when he got arrested.
Wait, what do you mean the most surveilled city in America? There's no fucking way. Y'all really believe that shit? Stupid. Ain't no fucking way it is, because the amount of work these motherfuckers be putting in Mexico City, my nigga, they ain't got no surveillance cameras at all.
But in 2018, the Sinaloa Cartel hacked into the camera system of Mexico's most surveilled city and used it to follow an FBI official as he met up with people of interest.
What did
with
I
some
say?
of these people being informants, which is terrifying. If you're the FBI agent going to what you believe are secret meetups, when in reality, you're being watched by a very dangerous group. But of course, I guess in that field, you should already suspect that could be a possibility.
Yep.
No creo que esté protegido por el cartel de Sinaloa, ni que esté en la Ciudad de México tampoco, siendo que la Ciudad de México es de las... Al momento de agarrarlo, ahí vas a sacar la noticia grande, pues. Y lo van a inflar como una noticia gigante.
But as for the operative, it's hard to tell if he's lying because, of course, it would be stupid to admit on camera that a man on the FBI's most wanted list is being protected by your people, or if he genuinely believes the US hyped up Ryan to be a bigger target than he already was, which he claims was done so that when Ryan was finally captured, it would be a big news story, like it was.
Now, but my thing is this right here, right? Do y'all generally think these people who are most wanted can generally run away from forever? Like, I generally feel like if you got this much connection and you're a billionaire, you're just choosing to turn yourself in. You don't have to turn yourself in because, my nigga, money is the king. Cash is king. So if you think these motherfuckers can't get away from forever, you're delusional as fuck.
He almost sounds as if he expected this to happen. Which, sure, once Ryan's name appeared on the FBI's most wanted list, it was only a matter of time anyway. He had already been running his part of what the FBI calls a billion-dollar operation since 2011. But he's only been on the most wanted list since 2025. So why turn yourself in? Did he just give up? Or did he believe he would be able to make a deal? And if so, what kind of deal? The FBI likely wants information and names that would surely mark him for death if he ever did get out of prison. Maybe he could give up some names. Because while the FBI calls him a high-ranking member of the Sinaloa Cartel, the Sinaloa is not the same as it was when Ryan first came to Mexico. It's very well known that the cartel actually split into 2 rival factions that are at war with each other. If Wedding did manage to ally himself with one side after the split, that would mean he has information on both sides of the conflict.
So wait, I hope they're not accusing him of trying to go and snitch. I'm not putting no type of conspiracies out there, brother. I'm not in this. This is just for entertainment purposes only. But from what he's saying right now, that's kind of what it's starting to seem like.
In theory, he could give up information on the rival faction without throwing his allies under the bus. Because if he did pick a side, the other guys would want to kill him anyway. But even so, would that be worth turning yourself in when the FBI is clearly going to parade you like a cartel leader? Primarily because in January 2025, the FBI accuses Ryan, along with other men, of killing a federal witness in Medellin, Colombia. And this witness has been identified as Jonathan Acevedo Garcia. And Jonathan was only able to become a cooperating witness because he was part of Ryan's operation. Because according to the FBI, after being grown in Colombia, the product will be sent to Mexico City, then Sinaloa, and LA, before finally making it to Canada and Toronto, and then Montreal, which is where Jonathan operated.
Okay, I want to understand though, when they got all these routes, right? How does the FBI not catch on to this shit? You feel me? Like, I feel like criminals, there's no way you could ever stop them because there's always going to be people inside of the FBI organization that all you have to do is pay them bread and you're gonna be good, gang. Like, y'all just have to stop being stupid with this shit. If y'all really think that the FBI is genuinely trying to stop these motherfuckers, when they help the world go around, you're delusional, gang.
And his murder wasn't just a case of cartel brutality. This murder was allegedly committed on the advice of a Toronto lawyer, who literally goes by the name Cocaine Lawyer on social media.
Crazy.
Now, corrupt or not, this is a man with a law degree that allegedly told Wedding the case would be dismissed if he killed a witness.
My nigga, his name is go by Cocaine Lawyer on the internet. If you really think this guy is a legal lawyer, not corrupt, you're fucking crazy. I ain't gonna lie. Stupid. Because how the fuck can the federal whatever bureau, whatever the fuck you called him, let a lawyer name himself Cocaine Lawyer on the internet? Think about it.
And according to LA Mag, an associate of Wedding reached out to the Dirty News, which is a Canadian blog centered on organized crime in Canada. And this associate allegedly sent the blog a picture of Jonathan with a $10,000 payment to have the blog post Jonathan's picture and call him a snitch, while also agreeing to keep Ryan Wedding's face off the website. And the Dirty News was a trusted source that provided deep insight into organized crime all over Canada. And I've even used them as a source on certain information in my Asian Gangs of Canada video. But the last time I visited the blog, I was met with this message, saying that it had been seized by law enforcement, which I didn't understand at first, but it says the blog was taken down as part of Operation Slalom. Which makes sense, as that is the name of the sport Ryan Wedding competed in for the 2002 Winter Olympics. But if the Cocaine Lawyer did—
So wait, this nigga was an Olympic gold medalist? What the fuck? What happened to him? Like, how do you go from, hold on, let me find it. How the fuck do you go from this to wanting to be a leader of a cartel?
2002 Winter Olympics. But if the Cocaine Lawyer did advise Ryan to get rid of a witness and suggest the case would be dismissed if he did so, could that be the reason he turned himself in? Because if this is true, then the lawyer must have believed the FBI had a weak case, even though Jonathan has supposedly been in contact with the FBI for around a year before his death. Now, the US government frames the surrender of Wedding as the result of, quote, pressure applied by Mexican and US law enforcement. However, according to a security analyst that regularly appears in Mexican media, through conversations with his sources in Mexican security and law enforcement, he claims that the surrender instead came through negotiations and that the FBI director, Kash Patel, traveled to Mexico City at the time Wedding agreed to surrender to make it look like it was all thanks to him, which apparently isn't true. At least according to the analyst, CBC News in Canada, and even ABC News in the US seem to be aware of this. And all of this would kind of coincide with the Sinaloa cartel operative insisting that Ryan Wedding's capture would be more of a show than something actually meaningful. It also doesn't help the narrative pushed by some, including a former FBI agent, that Patel is kind of bad at his job. And this whole situation kind of reminds me of an American man who, like Wedding, is a foreigner that held a position in a Mexican cartel. And he's known as La Barbie, which is due to his blue eyes. And in the 2 years leading up to his arrest, he provided—
La Barbie? I ain't gonna lie. Nigga, wait, because of his blue eyes, that's his name? Nah, that's crazy. I ain't gonna lie. But hey, one thing I do want to say is, this shit reminds me of Power. If y'all watch the whole Power series, even with Force, like how they even go behind the scenes of how these people are getting very corrupted for that bag or getting blackmailed, this is all making sense, bro.
Information to the
It's a
DEA
blackmail
and
game.
the FBI. And although he isn't considered to be an informant against the cartel he was working for, he did provide the US with crucial information about corrupt Mexican officials who revealed the identities of DEA agents working in Mexico to his cartel and the Sinaloa cartel. And despite this leaking information from corrupt Mexican officials possibly resulting in the death of a DEA agent, none of this seemed to help Barbie, as he was still sentenced to nearly 50 years in prison.
Damn!
But he probably wasn't advised to do any of this by a lawyer, or at least he wasn't reported to. And that takes us back to the Cocaine Lawyer, which again is what he called himself. If the prosecution wanted to frame Wedding as a ruthless drug lord, surely it would fit the narrative more if getting rid of the witness was his idea. But the lawyer was actually charged for his alleged role in the plot as the one who advised it. But after offering over $5 million, he was granted bail in Canada despite the fact that he was facing extradition to the United States. Which is pretty crazy, considering the fact that he's being accused of conspiracy to commit murder.
Who do y'all think that $5 million went to? I'm gonna let y'all type in the comments below. And I know who it went to. I ain't gonna say too much, but we know who them 5 M's went to. And nigga, if it's 5 M's, my nigga, I'm taking it. Who's not taking it? Especially when you're not even getting paid that much.
And the Attorney General even states that the evidence against him is overwhelming. But could this just be a bluff? The lawyer doesn't go by that nickname for no reason. He specializes in cases involving drug traffickers, and he's been a lawyer for 30 years. So was his alleged statement to Wedding correct? And does the FBI have a weak case? Kash Patel called Wedding a modern-day Pablo Escobar, which seems like an exaggeration. For one, he was a foreigner in Mexico, so unlike Escobar, who actually was the head of a cartel, it's hard for me to believe that Wedding outranked most people in either faction of the Sinaloa cartel.
Facts.
Just like my Asian gangs in Mexico video, where I covered the Chinese money launderers working with certain Mexican cartels, Wedding may have been respected and indeed held some position of authority, but to suggest he was like Pablo Escobar seems a bit too far.
I don't think a person that's not of a Mexican culture can even be the leader of a cartel. I don't think that's possible. And if it is possible from some of my Latinos, let me know in the comments below if it is. I've never heard of it. I don't even think Mexicans will even allow that shit. You feel me?
Now, a guy named Owen Hansen, an American that trafficked tons of drugs for the Sinaloa cartel in both Australia and the United States, managed to only serve 7 of the 21 years he was sentenced after cooperating with authorities in both countries.
Crazy.
But unlike Ryan, he wasn't accused of any violent crime. So the FBI having a weak case on the murder of their witness seems to be the only way Ryan can avoid a life sentence. And that's only if he cooperates. But the fact that every report about his arrest state that there were some negotiations involved, I have to wonder what the terms were. You would think they must have been pretty favorable for him to turn himself in, because the fact that he was able to move around Mexico freely for so long means that he very well could have continued as a free man, although on the run for the rest of his life. But only time will tell, I guess, as even one of El Chapo's sons, Joaquin, is expected to avoid a life sentence as part of his plea deal with the US government and an agreement to pay $80 million.
God damn, 80 M's? Yeah, he's getting off this shit lightly. These niggas are billionaires. But what I do want to mention is, bro, if you choose to get into this lifestyle, again, educational purpose, bro, you have to realize cooperating with the feds is only going to end you up a one-way ticket straight to hell, gang. You're going to die. Like, let's just keep it a buck here. Because how do you expect for somebody who's been in a cartel, who moves, who's a high ranking, to just expect for you to get off freely off of a bail? You feel me? Like, they gonna take your head off as soon as you get out, or if not, in prison.
But this case will either play out really fast or really slow. And either way it ends, I'm sure questions will still remain. But thank you guys for watching as always.
Man, thank you guys for watching. I know for a fact there's gonna be people dying due to this situation, unless this cooperative shit is all in the bud and they know exactly what's going on within the cartel. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.